Hello guys, in this chapter we are going to learn how to create a model using standard primitive objects inside 3ds Max. So without wasting any more time, let's get right into it. Hello guys, let us learn how to create project inside 3ds Max. Go to the file menu. Inside the file menu, go to the projects. Inside the submenu, go to create default. When you click on this, a dialog box appears. I'm going to go on desktop and create a project on desktop. Let's create a new folder. I'm going to name this folder as Gazebo Model. Select the folder and say select folder. Once you click on this, go to the folder on the desktop and you will see 3ds Max has gone ahead and created a bunch of folders for us. Now these folders will be accessed by 3ds Max while we are working on this project. For example, the folder called scenes. If you go in this folder, right now there is nothing inside this folder. The folder is empty. So whatever scenes we create inside this project will be saved in this particular folder itself. Let's go back. And there are other folders, for example, auto backup, export, import. All these folders will be accessed by 3ds Max while we are working on this project. They will be used as resources for this project. Let us go back to 3ds Max. In this chapter, we are going to learn how to create a model using standard primitive objects. But before we go ahead and create a model, let us first go and see the unit setups. Go to the Customize menu, go to Unit Setups. Make sure that generic unit is selected. For this project, we are going to use generic units, but we will be exploring the other metric systems in the later chapters of this course. Press OK. Now, let us start with our Gazebo model. Go to the command panel and click on the cylinder inside the geometry. Go to the keyboard entry. Here, I'm going to enter radius as 25 units and height as 1 unit. Now, click on Create. Once you click on Create, you will see a cylinder appears in the center of the grid. Now go to the default shading, click on Edge Faces. You can see this particular model has lots of segments for the height. We do not need these many segments. So click on the model, go to the Modify panel. Inside the Modifier panel, we are going to change the height segments to 1. You will see all the segments are gone now. And we are going to put the number of sides as 8. And check off the smooth button. Now let's go to the Move tool and zoom out. Now we have a cylinder created. Let's rename this cylinder. Go to the Create panel. Here you can rename and also choose a color for the object that you have created. Select the object. I'm going to say step _ 001 and also choose a color for this model. Let's say I'm going to choose a dark gray color. So now we have an object in the center with the name as step 001 and color chosen. Let us create another cylinder. Go to the cylinder, click on the keyboard entry. Here I'm going to choose the radius as 24. Click on Create. height as 1 and click on create. Now you will see another cylinder is created, but it is inside the cylinder that we have previously created. And we want this cylinder to appear on top of the previous cylinder, like step 001. So click on the new cylinder and inside the Z parameters, press 1 unit because the height of the previous cylinder is 1 unit. Once you do that, you will see that the cylinder is stacked above the cylinder that we created previously. If you go in the front view by pressing F, you will see that the old cylinder is below and the new cylinder is above the old cylinder. And this also creates a step effect. Let's go to the perspective. Select the cylinder and let's rename this again. Step underscore 002 and choose the same color again. Now we have 2 steps and also I'm going to choose the smooth off. So we have 2 steps over here. Now let us create column. Now we have 2 steps. Now let us create a column. Go to the create menu, click on box, go to the keyboard entries. Here we are going to input length, width and height. The length I'm going to say 3 units, width 3 units and height as 4 units. Now here we have other parameters as X, Y and Z. So right now I want to place my box above these 2 steps. So the height of the step is 1 unit and this height of the step is 1 unit again. So total we have 2 units. So I'm going to say add the Z as 2 units and create. So you will see the box that is created is placed above both the steps because we put 2 units in the Z parameters. Similarly, that we did, we can also change, we can put the same 2 units over here. So this is one way in which you can place the objects while creating the objects. Now let's go ahead and create another object on top of this box. Click on cylinder, go to the keyboard entries. Here I'm going to say radius as 1 and height as 30 and Z. Now I can choose the Z, to input Z over here, or I can change the height of the cylinder after it's created. So let's create the cylinder and then we will place the cylinder on the top of the box after we have created. So click on create. Now as you can see, the cylinder is not placed on top of the box, it is going through the box all the way to the steps. Now the units of the steps is 1 unit, 2 units and the units of box is 4 units. So total we have 6 units. Select the cylinder and press and put 6 into Z parameters. So now you will see the cylinder is placed on top of the box. This cylinder has 8 sides. I want to increase the number of sides for this cylinder. So go to the modifier panel. Inside the 8 sides, click say 16 sides. So we have a cylinder that is more circular now. Let's create another box on top of this cylinder. Go to the create and click on box. Go to the keyboard entries. Here we are going to keep the parameters for length and width the same, and for height we are going to say 2 units, and for Z I know that this particular cylinder is 30 units in height, this is 4 units in height and this is 2 units. So we have total 36 So when I'm going to create a box, I'm going to say 36 units high and then create. So now you can see the box is placed on top of the column. So this whole a box, a cylinder and a column and a box, another box is our column. Now let's go ahead and rename them and choose a color for them as well. Select the box. Here I'm going to say column, COLUMN, base underscore 001, column mid underscore 001, and column top underscore 001. Select all of them and change the color altogether. I'm going to choose the color white. So now you have a column which is in white color. Select all the three objects and let's group them together. Go to the group menu and click on group. Rename this to group column underscore 001. In the previous chapter, we learned how to group objects, and we have also learned how to create duplicates. So we are going to create duplicate of this or copy this column for this model. I'm going to place this column at the edge of our steps that we have created, and I want to place this column on each of the corner or each of the sides of the steps. So for that, I'm going to change the pivot by going into the hierarchy tab, affect pivot only, and I'm going to change this pivot to the center of our steps. I'm going to go to the X over here in the parameters and press 0. This way you can see the pivot point of our object is at the center of the axis. Let's click on the rotate tool. So now we have the rotation of this column at the center. Press on effect only to deactivate it. Now you will see that we have the pivot point of this object is changed, and we can rotate this object like this. So before we make copies of this object, go to the snap tool, right click on it, and make sure the angle here is 5 degrees. If it is 5 degrees, then click close. Now we are going to duplicate this column. Press on the rotate gizmo, press shift on your keyboard and left click your mouse button and drag. Click on the snap tool to activate and then drag. So once you reach 45 degrees, let go of your mouse and your keyboard, and you will see a clone options appearing, and choose instance, and we are going to press 7 copies of this object or the group that we have created. Press OK. Now you can see we have 8 copies of the column that we have created. All of them are named column 5, column 4, etc., etc. Now let's create. Go to the create tab, click on sphere, inside the keyboard entry, choose radius as 25. I'm going to use the same radius that was used for the first cylinder that we created at step 1, and say create. Now you can see a sphere is created at the center of the grid, and Go to the modifier panel. Here we have a parameter called hemisphere. We can change this parameter and you will see the sphere. We can change the sphere into hemisphere or half sphere or the way we want. So I'm going to put 0.5 to make it a half sphere like this. And I know the top of this column is 36 plus 2 units, that is 38 units. I'm going to put in the Z parameters as 38. And you will see that our sphere rests on the column itself. So now you have a half sphere on top of the column. I'm going to go into the uniform scale and then scale the sphere a little bit like this. Now let us rename this as well. Go to the create tab, change the name to dome_001 and change the color to, let's say, cream. Or maybe yellow, something brownish, depends. So we have this object created out of the basic or standard primitives of 3ds Max. Go to the edge faces and turn off the edge faces. Now you will see the object with no lines and simple plain color by itself. You can also choose to see or view the object in the clay mode, which has a single color applied, a clay color applied, or a clay material applied to the entire object. This is how you create model inside 3ds Max by using primitive objects. Now let us learn how to save the scene inside 3ds Max. For that, click on Home and go to the File menu, click on Save. The moment you click on Save, a dialog box appears and you will see we are inside the same folder, Desktop, Gazebo Model and Scenes. Write the name of the file that you want to. I'm going to write Gazebo Model space model _01 and click on Save. Now if you go into the folder, you will see inside the gazebo model, inside the scenes, we now have gazebo model _01, the file that we just saved. Go to the 3ds Max again. Now let us learn how we can select the objects inside this scene. Let's go back to the default shading. As you can see, we have an object with different colors, and we have also renamed the objects while creating them. So if you go to the select by name tool, click on it, you will see the names that we have been given to this object, and you can select these objects as per the names that you have given. So if I want to select the steps, I can click on the steps and click OK. So the steps will be selected. If I want to select all the columns together, I can click on the columns, press Shift and click on the last column and then click on OK. So now all the columns are selected. If I want to select the dome, I can click on the dome directly, or I can go to this select from scene and click on dome, and I can select the dome as well. So it is a very good practice to give names to the colors, give names to the objects, so that you can choose to select them later while working with them. There is also another way to select these objects. Because we have provided colors to them or applied colors to them, we can also choose to select them using the colors. For that, go to the edit menu and you will see we have select by color option. So if I want to select all the columns, because we have given white color to all the columns, select on any of the one column and you will see all the columns get selected. So you can choose to select by color as well. So if I want to select all the steps or all the objects that have gray color, I can go to the edit menu, select by color and click on the color that I want to choose. And if I click on this gray color, you will see both the steps get selected. So it is very good practice to apply names to the objects and also apply colors to the objects. This way you can actually select them later or keep them organized inside your scene. So in this chapter, we have learned how to create objects, how to create project, how to create model from primitive objects, how to write names or apply colors to the objects, and how to save a file scene inside 3ds Max. That is all for this chapter. In the next chapter, we are going to talk about shapes and how to create shapes in 3ds Max. So I will see you in the next chapter.